your brain's really smart because it's always trying to get you to go the easiest path. You talk about any of the greats, Jordan or Tiger, any of those guys, like they would make up stuff in their head that a player said this to them or that to them so that they would tap into, some type of energy to just keep them at a high level every night. To me, like if somebody were to say, Josh, you could either eat healthy for the rest of your life or work out, but you can't do both, I would easily pick the food.
That's look good though.
It is. You want it? Take it.
Okay. If you're not gonna, yeah, I'll take it.
I've got other snacks.
I try to do all, because I have a sweet tooth as well. So like I try to buy like quinoa cookies that have like real cane sugar if I'm gonna do it. Like little stuff like that. I do ice cream that's not real dairy in it or anything like that. So I can actually eat it and enjoy it and not feel like complete, garbage.
Well, we've taught the kids too.
Yeah.
And so, it's like people talk about food all the time. We're like, well, it's too expensive to eat that way. And I'm thinking, you're thinking about this all wrong.
That's right. It's an investment.
It's an investment.
Yeah.
It's like putting good fuel in a car, like a Ferrari. I mean, if you're feeling better, then it would make sense you would have more energy to go make more money or whatever. And people are looking at it all backwards, man. But they don't want to cut out going out drinking over the weekend.
That's exactly right.
Or, whatever other thing that they're doing, playing 6 rounds of golf per week, or they got some $500 phone. I'm just saying, these are all things that people aren't willing to give up, but they're willing to destroy. And I've been there. I've been that guy that's done that, as we've talked about in the past. And that's why, like with the food thing, I'm just so passionate about it because, we've talked about mitochondria before.
Yeah.
I mean, those things literally have rotary motors in them that produce ATP, which is the currency for your body. That's the energy currency for your body, the primary. And that rotary motor takes the nutrients that's in your body, takes oxygen, and it creates that ATP. So if the nutrients it's pulling from is junk, well, your energy is going to be junk. And another one for you, a rotary motor doesn't operate. It can't evolve. It either works or it doesn't work. So there's another one to think about, like your mitochondria. They're called ATP synthase is the technical term for them. But they're a rotary motor. It's a very simple motor. And it's on the outer wall of the mitochondria. And as that nutrient passes over it, and the oxygen, it produces that ATP on the inside of the mitochondria, which is what creates pretty much it's the primary energy source for your body. It's every being on this planet, that's how it's created. That can't just evolve. It either works or it doesn't work. Take one part away from it, it's nothing.
So how long do you think, like people that just eat like complete shit though, like how long do you think that actually takes them to start feeling those effects of like those adaptations to their energy? Like
depends on their
when
age.
do those levels change? Okay.
I think it depends on their age and their makeup.
Yeah.
I mean, like our 16-year-old David dude, I mean, he could eat anything. And he's actually he's a leaner body type than I was. In high school, man, if I put on a little bit of weight, and I mean, I was in good shape, but like he can eat anything and he just burns right through it. But even he has told me, since he's flipped his nutrition, like once you go and eat healthy for a few days, like clean, and then you go eat a slice of pizza or a whole pizza, which is typically what most people do, the next day you feel like crap because your body gets used to it doesn't get used to processing. It's just most people have grown up eating all this junk and they don't know the difference.
Yeah.
They just don't know the difference, man. And I mean, you can't get mad at them, but it's literally an addiction to processed foods, processed sugars, and fats.
Yeah. It's just a broken system.
It is.
You know what I mean? That everybody's just been brainwashed into like, okay, this is life now. This is just the things we should eat.
And it's been allowed, man.
Yeah.
So, when you're like with our own employees at AEC, William's probably the biggest turn. He's pushing 60, and over the last year, he's dropped 30 pounds, dude.
No, yeah.
And he looks and he feels good. And he said he's wanting to drop another 30. I'm like, bro, you're going to be a different person. But the legacy and stuff that you see it changing, like he came in and said that his kids came up to him and said, hey, man, I'm proud of you, Dad, for what you're doing. So that it's more than you're changing and bringing awareness to what's going on in it, but it takes time.
That's right.
It takes so much time for most people, including myself, to make that adjustment. And it's a refinement over time. It's not an immediate shift.
Yeah.
You can do 75 hard, but most people aren't geared for that type of stuff. They're not geared to work out twice a day. They're geared to make slow. It's just how they're wired, man.
That's right.
So you can't just paint everything with a broad stroke. If you have a guy like me, I love that stuff.
Yeah. But it took you a while to get to that.
It did.
So, you think running a business and knowing, the process of running a business took so much time? Now when you develop more of your time into your actual body and your health, that you're actually more patient with it because you knew what it took to build something already over here. And most people don't surely try to build anything in their daily lives anyway. They're just going to their job, coming home. So, do you think it was easier for you because you've already built something that took longer discipline? Because most people don't have discipline. And once they get a taste of it, it's painful and their brain just immediately wants to revert to, like you just said, the comfort. You know what I mean?
Yeah, openly, with Jericho, our first company, I moved back here to start building houses, right? And I learned how to build from someone in East Tennessee. A relative of mine taught me over 6 months, and I moved here and started building houses. Micah and I got married. Micah, my wife, not Mike. Yeah. Micah and I got married. And
care about the nickname there.
Yeah, in 07. Yeah, June 2nd, 07. And then by the end of 08, we were broke. We had spent all of our money, credit cards were maxed up, but everything. We had 5 or 6 spec houses, and these were all starter homes. And we had David in 08. 08 was a big year for me, man. Dude, I went broke, had a kid. There were a lot of highs and lows, which there are for me regardless, because that's just how I'm wired. But we were kind of thrust into it. I didn't have any other options. You can't go get a day job with over $1 million. Well, right at about 7 figures in debt. The homeless guy had more money than I did. So we were thrust into, basically we had to figure it out or just file bankruptcy, and I just couldn't I wasn't going to do that. So that's where we pivoted, started Jericho, and she's literally, she's going out helping me, making sales calls on insurance restoration companies. And the connection came in December of 08. The banker we were working with called me one day, and he said, hey, man, he said, I know you're struggling. I said, yeah, you could say that. I was so desperate at that time. I went and bought a lottery ticket. Trying to I was just we sold our Bobcat. This guy comes in over from Arkansas with $8,000 in ones, tens, 20s, and hundreds, just a wad of cash to buy our Bobcat, which is just, some equipment for moving earth and dirt and stuff like that. It's a front end loader, but we were just trying to survive, man. And so in December, he called me and he said, I've got a guy here that's doing really well, but he just does water and fire cleanup, for insurance claims and stuff. But they don't do the bill back. They don't do the construction part of it. And he said, let me set up lunch and maybe he can start sending you some leads. So we went and had lunch, and me being me, I'm a good developer. I was depressed at the time, but I saw the opportunity. We had a good conversation. And so the first lead he sent me was this condo in Green Hills. Elderly woman, she was 800 years old. I'm serious. If you touched her, she was going to turn into dust. Sweet lady. Her husband had passed away. Kids only came back when they needed money, and I would talk to a wall. So she enjoyed my company. It was a second floor leak in a toilet. It was just a drywall patch, 2 by 2. The guy calls me on it. He goes, man, this is $350. You want it? I said, bro, absolutely. Showed up out there. I'd never done drywall patch before. not on my own. You subcontracted drywallers. So I went to Lowe's and bought this big thing of mud and tape and a sheet of drywall and showed up out there and patched that thing. And it looked like there was a buried elephant in the ceiling, like a dead body. It was just a big hump in the ceiling. And she was fine with it. I don't think she could turn her neck up to look at it, but that's the truth too, man. I did my best, but I put a bed together for her while I was there, did some odds and ends around the house. I think I ended up walking out there with like $1,000 over a couple of days. And we built that into, we were doing $3 million a year by 2011. And we had about 30 employees. We had a 8,000 square foot warehouse in Donaldson on a pretty good sized lot, and just miserable, man. I was drinking every day on anti-anxiety medications, everything else. And we just made so many mistakes, and I'd never done it before. But we had to. We sold the houses, we got all that. We were doing well on the outside.
And what year was that? Still 08 or 09?
No, that was 11.
11, okay.
Where we just steadily grew over about 2 or 3 years. And I didn't want to do that. Yeah. We just did it to survive. To your question
continuing
earlier,
the restoration is right. Like that's what you went deeper in. And did you continue to get leads from other people, or did you finally go deeper in?
We were working with Nationwide. Yeah. We were working with State Farm, Allstate. We were on all the programs. We had hundreds of thousands of dollars in equipment, drying equipment. Over time, we got into it too, because the guy who got me kind of started, he sold his business. So we were doing big stuff. And I mean, this was 16, almost 15 years ago by 11. So with the cost of goods and everything, I mean, it was probably more like a $9 to $10 million business today that we built in 3 years with all kinds of mistakes. To your point earlier on the question of getting into it, we had to survive.
Yeah.
And just learned so many lessons. And then we sold the company to a private equity group. It was the only way to exit it. I mean, it was a machine by that point. And got out of that. We'd started a commercial company around 2010. We sold that. And I just got out of it. I kept that entity, and I went to healing. I got off anxiety medications. I was probably taking enough to kill a small elephant. Drinking, I was overweight. And I got back to healing, man. And so when I first got off the medication, I'll tell this story. It had been like 2 days, and I'm sitting in my office, and I thought I was having a heart attack. And so they rushed me to the emergency room. Doctors, hooked me up to everything. He's like, bro, you're perfectly fine. He's like, are you on any? And I told him, and they shoot me out of there. But it went from 2 to 3 of those a day, literally, because I went cold. And, the doctor tried to put me on, what's that stuff called, Lexapro and all these different things. I'm like, I just don't want to do it. I don't want to be numb anymore. And so just steadily healed and started, got over a Bible study group way closer to the Lord. And then in 17, I'm like, there's got to be more. There's got to be more. So went on this physical fitness journey. By 2020, COVID hit, and I was working with a trainer, Zach, who, I've been with him for 8 years now. We were going to the park and lifting picnic tables, and we bought a 20-pound vest, and we even stayed through that, right? And so by 22, I had started doing some side stuff, just side hustles, while I was working for this water and wastewater firm under the old company that we just changed to Alliance. That side hustle had turned into a sizable amount per year. And so by 2021, 2022, it gotten toward kind of started to pull me more and more. And it was starting to affect my integrity, because I could do all that stuff nights and weekends. Yeah. It was just engineering stuff on the side. We made the decision, it's time. We are ready. And that's when we launched into this full time. But I was older, had more perspective. I knew what I was getting into, and it was something I wanted to get into. So we took all those learning lessons, had a business coach, helps keep me in line. And, here we are with it. So, bottom line, we've been doing this for 18 years, entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
And if back in '07, there weren't business coaches like there are now all over the, Instagram and social media platforms, giving you advice and stuff. I mean, that came later. So when I started getting coaching and they told me something, I look back and I'm like, he is not wrong. So it gave me more, I knew it was truth.
Mm.
So we would just do it. Yes, sir. Do it. And building a business, well, what we're doing now, or businesses, it takes a long time. It just takes time because there's just so many things that even if you have a business coach, most of the time they haven't done what you're doing, like with the engineering companies. And it just takes a lot of time and intentionality, and you got to understand yourself and those around you. And, it's one of those things where we learned because we had to back in '07, '08.
Mm-hmm.
And then because of that, it gave me confidence knowing what I was getting into the second go around with Alliance.